All right, we're gonna try to roll this one more time, guys, and hopefully everything works out. Let's do this. But thank you guys for being being patient. If you guys can share I can't even talk now. If you guys could share the stream, go ahead and share it for us tonight because now all the shares we did earlier are gone, and we're on a different stream. So if you guys are out there and can hear us, let me know. I'm gonna go ahead and bring Mary back on, and then I'll edit everything on the streaming side. So everybody that's playing it back next week will be good, and I'll figure out for timing tonight. We'll mess with that. All right, guys. All right, we're gonna try this again. Are you there? Do you hear us? Uh-oh. Oh, you're mute. Okay, that was my bad.
You had me muted.
I had you muted.
I bet a lot of people wish they could do that to me in real life.
My wife wishes she could do that to me at times with that. All right, I do apologize. I'm glad we got it fixed and everything worked out. I don't know. I don't think your cell phone liked us. It was something. So, but welcome to the show. We're gonna go ahead and just start digging into everything. What were we even talking about last time? I don't even know what we were talking about. So we were talking about something going in, and all of a sudden I saw the chat go echo, but I'm like, no. So let's go back to your first concert you've ever been to. So if you guys were not tuned in to the other side, this is Mary Boehlke, right? Am I saying it right?
Boehlke. Yep.
Okay. All right. You've been to. I mean, how many live concerts do you think you've been to? If you had to guess.
Honestly, probably in the thousands for sure.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I got started really young.
What was your first?
My very first was Bon Jovi when I was 8. It was Bon Jovi and Cinderella.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and that just kind of created a monster.
What tour was it? Do you remember?
That was, let's see, so 1987. I think it was Slippery When Wet in 1987.
Oh, wow.
I actually still have the T-shirt. It's this really awesome yellow and black.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I wanna. My first one was in 90. I want to say 96. It was Kiss. So it was definitely some good bands.
I saw Kiss as a kid. Also, I still have a pic from Paul Stanley.
I won't tell you how I got mine.
Yeah, and I have a rose, like a dried out rose from Peter Criss.
Nice.
I was pretty young for that one too.
I was 14 when I saw him. So that was my first one. You said you were 8 when you saw Bon Jovi?
I was 8 for Bon Jovi. 8 and 10 were my first 2 concerts, and they were both Bon Jovi.
That is so cool. Let's see if I see some pictures. All right, so after Bon Jovi, I mean, where did you go? I mean, for musically, you so obviously we met through the church choir, through our church's fan club. But your music range is a lot more than just country or 80s hair. I mean, you've kind of been all over, and it's kind of taking you to almost jam bands as well. But who would you say is kind of like your go-to artist?
That's so hard because we listen to so much. Yeah, I mean, my dad raised me on the Outlaws. I still have all of the, Cash Whalen and Willie vinyls that he gave me as a kid. Mm-hmm. And then, definitely jumped into the hair bands. I mean, it would have to be Dave Matthews Band. And you're right, the jam band scene.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that kind of led you to the Eric Church, or how did you come across Eric Church?
By accident. I actually stopped, there was a long time where I didn't listen to country music. Okay. And there was a handful of artists that kind of brought me back. Church was one of them. Sugarland. And it was Sugarland because they did a Crossroads with Bon Jovi, which is the reason I watched it. And I was so enthralled with them. So I'm like, well, if this is country music right now, what else am I missing? And then I discovered Dirks and Zach Brown Band, and those bands kind of led me into more of a diehard country fan as I got older.
Yeah. Let's see. I could definitely see like the two definitely coming together and mixing like that. So your first church show, though, when you first kind of first went into them, was really close to your house, huh?
Yes, we've had very few local shows that I haven't had to travel for. I can actually count the number of shows we've seen locally on one hand.
Oh man.
And this one was about a half an hour away from us in Woodstock, the real
Oh
Woodstock,
yeah,
right over there.
I was gonna say where the
Yeah,
actual Woodstock took
yeah,
place, huh?
yeah.
That's
The
neat.
actual where the festival took place is Bethel, and that's about 2 hours from us.
Okay, that's neat right there. But it was Levon Helm's studio, correct?
Yes, yep. It's hands down my favorite venue. It's really small, about 100 people. It's just magical. I always say people say Disneyland is the most magical place on earth, and that's wrong. It's Levon Home Studios.
I've never been there. So how many shows have you seen there?
A bunch. We've been really lucky. We've been really lucky to see a lot of amazing shows there. Maybe like a couple dozen.
Okay.
And we're still doing shows there, so we do still get to go.
Let's see. I keep getting more people are saying that we were having bad feed. If you guys have anything going on in the chat, just let me know. Maybe it's just an off night. I don't know. We'll keep going and see what happens. If something happens, we might just have to reschedule. I don't know, and see what happens. I don't want to keep going, and people are like aren't getting a really good show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. I want everybody to be able to enjoy it and not have the feed cutting out. So if you guys are in the chat, let me know if you guys are having some feed issues. If you are, we might see what we can do. But so when did you? When you were talking about seeing Kiss, you said you were how old were you?
I was a teenager. I was younger. I was maybe 13 or 14 also.
Nice. You remember what tour that was?
I don't. That's the one thing I'm really bad at. I'm really
See,
bad with tours and
yeah.
like album names. I
All right.
remember my sister and I weren't planning on going. We were record shopping that day of the concert, and we just were like, well, let's just check to see what tickets they have. And they had third row center seats, like floor seats. So we grabbed them like just a couple hours before
That's
that show.
crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. I'll have to one of these days. I'll share my story when I saw Kiss. It was just a while. I was 14. I didn't even know I was going to see or who I was going to see. My dad surprised me, and my uncle. It was at my uncle's stadium, and he was just like, "Yeah, go wherever you want." So I was front row center, and
Nice.
I was front row center when I found out it was Kiss. So I was going to be seeing. I was like, "Holy shit!" I'm like, "This is gonna be wild." So, all right. So, all right, cool. Everybody saying they're having everything sounds good in the chat, so that's good. I saw a couple. I was kind of getting a little nervous, guys, but thank you guys for hanging in there tonight. So
This is my luck. If you know me in real life, no one would be surprised by this.
I've actually had lately. It's been pretty good, and then I go and get this really nice new fancy board, and then last week I go into this and back, and I must have not clicked the right button. Everything was screwed up. I was like, no. The one week I wanted a really good audio because Sue was amazing last week, so it was a really good chat with her. But so when you started seeing Eric at Levon Helms, and did you really know about like kind of digging into his fan club, or were you part of any other fan clubs at that point?
At that point, it was still just Bon Jovi, maybe Pearl Jam, and Dave Matthews Band.
Nice. Okay.
And 2009 is when I discovered Church. So it was just a couple months after that I discovered him that I was able to see him. And that night he played with the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
I remember that show because I don't know if I was trying to get tickets for that or if I just couldn't go or something. But I remember when he played up there with Nitty Gritty. I was like, man.
Yeah.
I was always in love to go there, and I just missed that one.
Tickets for that show when Levon was around were pretty much impossible to get. If you got a ticket, you were lucky. And even after the fact he's been gone, 6 years now, they're still difficult to get. And they're still bringing in great acts there.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, didn't he like kind of handpick or give the tickets out, or they never sold them, did they? Or
oh, no, they sold them, and they were really expensive. Yeah, we actually had a Levon Helm, Studios fund set aside.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, they're pretty pricey, but always worth it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, an experience like that is definitely always worth it.
Absolutely.
What sparked your love, like going into like Dave? I mean, when was your first Dave Matthews concert? Because Dave Matthews is one of the bands that you've seen well over 100 times, and
Yeah, I don't know my exact number. I always say either close to 200 or over 200. The
nice.
last time I counted was a long time ago. I was at 187, and I just kind of stopped keeping track.
Does
Um,
people think you're crazy?
Absolutely. A lot of people don't get it. They do
So
not get it. They don't need to get it. It's okay.
I agree. I agree. I mean, as long as you do you and you're happy, and that's how I feel, and like I get that too, because like I've seen, I'm at about I think 167 for church shows, and I'm like I want 200. Like I want to get there eventually, but it's just wild. Like even thinking about it for myself because like talking to you, and like we were talking, you've seen well then you just dropped OAR today. I got a cool OAR story I'll share with you, but you've seen them over 100 times, and same thing with Dave and. I'm like that with like Billy Ray Cyrus. Like my mom was obsessed in the '90s with Billy Ray, so we went to a bunch of shows. It was cool because I got to know him and the family for a little bit. So I've seen like Billy Ray over 100, probably Kid Rock 75, 80 times. So I get it. Like talking with you about, oh, I've seen this person 100 times, this person 100 times, and other people look at me like, are you kidding me? Like really? And like, how do you like? Everybody's like, how do you afford this? How do you do that? And it's really just kind of in your blood. It's kind of just in the way you just do things. Like
Yeah,
you
you
have
always
to do
find a
side
way.
projects to help do stuff. You do side projects or whatever to kind of help or have a fun, like you said, and kind of put this.
Absolutely.
I mean, I wish I would have done more saving during quarantine and get ready for 2021 because I'm sure that's where our
Yeah,
shows are going to be.
I've been doing a lot of saving because the majority of my money goes to shows. So
Mhm.
not that I've gotten a lot of refunds yet. I'm still waiting on a bunch, but anything I'm getting is going right into savings. And
Did you have a
I'll
lot
be
of tickets tied up for shows this year?
I did. I want to say we had like 18 shows and a couple of festivals. I've gotten 2 refunds so far.
Yeah.
So
We didn't have two. I had we had Matchbox 20, and so that one got rescheduled, and then I'm still waiting. It hasn't got rescheduled yet, but in October I got my mom some tickets to see Frankie Valley. She's always wanted to see Frankie Valley, so I got her like really good like fourth or fifth row seats, and I was all excited. But so we're waiting to see what happens there. But
mhm.
I see they're still announcing stuff for October. I'm like, just cancel 2020 already. It's just
That's the thing is at this point I just want give me refunds for everything, because you just when things are back open, then we'll start planning again.
so now, as a fan, because I mean that's same boat I'm in. Is just being a fan with the music. Do you think the postpone to canceling it was fair to a lot of this? Because a lot of these
I think
fairs and festivals just postponed, where
yeah,
you can't
which
get a refund.
I think that's crap. I think the bands that did cancel did it right,
Hmm.
because of Ticketmaster trying to change their policy.
Yeah,
And I was disappointed when I saw Matchbox 20 postponed as opposed to canceled because those refunds are even tougher to get.
yeah. Well, see
Um,
now I did have tickets. I'm sure you had probably Matchbox tickets. Now yesterday when I did get the email, they did give me an option where up until a certain date I can ask for a refund. So
Yeah, see, yep, and a lot of like a couple of them, the 30 days has long passed and still
yeah,
nothing from them.
yeah,
So
yeah. And it's just gonna get crazy. I mean, that's why I think they should just kind of just cancel everything for 2020 because they keep saying okay, October, November they'll have shows again, but then they're like, oh wait, no, they're having another wave. I think,
yeah,
just
I just
cancel
don't
the
feel
year.
like, yeah,
Just cancel the year. It's already halfway over. Just cancel the damn
yeah,
thing.
I agree.
So how's your state handling everything right now? Is New York starting to open back up a little more? Or
We are just starting phase 3.
okay,
We're supposed to hit phase 4 in a couple weeks, I believe. But very slowly.
yeah,
I feel like they're doing a fairly well job considering.
yeah,
Um, we're not near New York City. We're north, so we didn't have the impact that they had down
oh, yeah.
there.
Yeah, I heard that was really rough in New York City for a while. I've talked to a couple of people that were there at that time. I'm like, it's getting crazy, and a lot of people are like, look at it and like how the quarantine levels is, and the bigger cities, everybody's on top of one another in big cities. If you're out in the
Exactly.
country, your levels or your cases are going to be way down because you're not on top of one another.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a density
So
issue.
yeah,
Sure.
Chicago, we're still under the same thing. And like today, they're starting, or Friday, they're starting to open up more like bars where you can go inside and dine in and stuff. But they're still not going to be opening beaches and all this other things. And I think that's the stuff they need because these kids have been locked inside the house for months. So, but they did announce today that they're going to start opening schools back up in the fall. So that's good.
Okay.
So
We haven't gotten that far yet.
yeah, so I mean, I'm sure it's gonna be a lot of guidelines and everything else, but we'll see what happens. I'm ready for the kids to go back to school. I'm sure my parents are too. So, but yeah. So we were kind of briefly mentioning fan clubs, and you're part of like Dave's, and so how did you once you got into Eric's and you started really kind of seeing Eric's fan club? How do you think that compared to maybe others you've been a part of?
The country fan clubs are hands down the best. Absolutely, the fans are the best. I'm actually not too fond of the Dave Matthews Band fan base for the most part.
Okay.
To the point where my husband doesn't even like to go see them all that much because of that.
Yeah.
I think the fan clubs, the fan groups, they all kind of have this cycle where in the beginning you're all excited because you're like, oh, I'm meeting new friends, people that understand me.
Yeah.
You meet your hardcores, you meet like your ride or dies, and then you meet people that you wish you never met.
That's true. Do you see tension in other fan clubs as sometimes you do see in like with the church choir? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think it's just like maybe fan jealousy of others, or I mean, what do you think causes this?
I'm absolutely baffled by that. I've been to the most shows, people that I'm the biggest fan people. I don't understand it.
Yeah. Well, especially, I mean, yeah, you don't really brag about like how many church shows do you think you've been to?
I finished double down at number 60.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah.
You gotta get to that 100.
Yeah, and what's funny is I actually was lowballing myself because I had thought that Nashville was number 50.
Nice.
And then one day because I do keep track, like I do, keep my stubs, keep my calendars and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I went through and I typed them all out and I was like, holy shit, I'm at 60. I thought I was at like low 50s.
That's awesome. Like now, yeah, you say you keep your stubs and everything. Now, what makes you like? Did you ever keep track of like different shows? You said Dave's been a lot, but did you ever like write down or do anything like? See, now with church, I don't know what drove me or started me to even start it, but I started like an Excel spreadsheet like in 06, and it's like I'm just gonna write down when I go to see shows, and I just started growing. That's what you did too.
I was very lazy with them. Like I would kind of keep track. Just so I have estimates of all of my shows. Like I said with Dave, it's either almost 200 or over 200, and with OAR, it's like 120 something. So church is actually one of the only ones I know the exact number, just because I did just do the spreadsheet and type them all out.
That's awesome. It's really cool. One of my season 1 guests, actually the first guest I had on, Arlo Revolution, she actually told me one time. She's like, well, what's your favorite show? I'm like, well, I don't know. And she's like, well, you should sit down and figure it out. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, well, make it a math problem. I'm like, huh? And she's just like, well, pretty much just rank it. Like just different things, have different categories and see whatever comes with the highest rank. And then, so I started doing that probably like a year ago. And I'm still working on it, but it's pretty fun. Like just to see how, like when I look at each show or individually, I'll sit down, I'll look at all the photos I have from that show and like all the memories I have. And I'll rank like different, like for Eric, like posters or meet and greets and this and that. I'll rank all that from 1 to 10. And it's kind of interesting to see the number that comes out.
Yeah.
So Sue said she's only at 25. I mean, Eric's going to be around for a while, so people are going to be building up shows. But it's fun having or going to see so much. But yeah, I'm with you on like bragging and tension, and it's just not fun anymore for people. It's just like, hey, have fun, do you, and everything else. We're doing it just because we feel something. The music almost speaks to you in a way, and that's why you keep going back, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that's my therapy. That's my therapy sessions.
I agree. And like, I really think a lot of us that are kind of from the same cloth is almost going crazy right now with everything going on. Because when was your last concert?
February 29th.
I think mine was February 22nd.
Yep. And, before that, it was Cody Jenks. I had gone with Mandy and with Lynn. We took a road trip to Cleveland. And then February 29th was we decided that day we were gonna go. It was Traveling McCurry's along with
Okay.
Della Mae. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I drove down to Nashville to the Opry to see Tucker Beathard, and so I went down there to see him play the Opry, and that was the last show I've seen. So I'm like, damn, I'm itching.
Yeah, and I've been doing okay with all of the cancellations because honestly, at the end of the day, what are you gonna do? But now that it's finally warmer here and summer's here,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
definitely like, yeah, I would go see like a Polka band right now if there was any.
Go see the church band on Sunday. No. Stay on the front row of the horns going.
Right?
I want Bon Jovi. No. So, I mean, we're talking about fan clubs and just, I want to know about fans in general. Kind of just being out there. I've been at Dave's shows. I think it's some of the coolest people. And I mean, their pre-gaming almost reminds me a lot of church pre-gaming. And
funny, hard.
Oh yeah, one of my funniest stories. Well, not one of my funniest stories. My parents probably still kick me in the ass for it. But one of my first Dave shows, I was only like 18, 19. It was at Alpine Valley in Wisconsin. I don't know if you've ever seen a Dave show there. It's amazing venue. They play there.
That's on my list.
Is that okay? It's really cool. It's actually where Stevie Ray Vaughan died. So he played his show there, and his helicopter died or went down right outside there. It was really crazy. But so when we're walking in to the concert, and this guy just hands me a beer, I was like, "Oh hell yeah!" I'm like, "I'm gonna go for this thing." Trying to open it, can't open it. It's a Corona, so it's not a twist off. So I'm like, "Screw this! I have nothing to open it." I go to throw it away. Well, this guy grabs my hand as I'm throwing it away. Just regular closed guy. He goes, "Let me see your ID." I'm like, "Dude, I'm throwing it away. I'm not drinking it." I got a ticket for possession or whatever of alcohol. But they still let me go to the concert. So I was like, oh, great. I still get to go to the concert, but I didn't even get to drink anything. Come on now. If I knew I was getting a ticket, I would at least pop the top and try to still drink the damn thing. But it was just so wild. But like, that was my first Dave experience. I'm like, you're really going to ruin my first Dave experience? But once we got in there, there's plenty of fun inside. So it was a good time. But you've seen him pretty much acoustic and everything else. What is kind of like, what is your favorite like Dave experience?
That's so hard. I love the Farm Aids. Dave is on the board of Farm Aid. So
yeah,
they always do. It's always Dave and Tim. So those are always my favorite. But our hometown venue, I mean, it's an hour away from us, but our hometown venue is Saratoga Performing Arts Center. It's back for sure. Their shows there every year are always phenomenal.
Yeah.
Always, yeah.
That is really cool. So did you see the last Farm Aid with in Milwaukee that Dave was on?
Nope. I tried to make it. I even bought tickets and I could not make it happen.
I heard it rained all day. I had something going on. I forgot what I was doing that day. I couldn't go because it was Alpine Valley too. That one. I didn't think about that. Yep. I said Milwaukee was Alpine Valley. But I was going to go, but I heard it rained all day. It was just miserable.
Yeah, and I was super excited to try to get to that one, even though they ended up canceling. Brothers Osborne was on that lineup as well. So I was just excited to be able to see like my Dave and my Brothers Osborne worlds collide, but
have you ever seen like two of your favorites collide like that? Have you ever been like in a situation where like say like Dave Matthews and OAR together or something?
I have seen Dave Matthews and OAR together.
Okay.
They've opened for them a lot, and the best shows of theirs were at the Gorge in 2008.
Oh man,
so we got to see that show 3 nights in a row.
Oh, that would have been amazing. I did the Gorge last year for Eric, and it's probably still one of my favorite venues. I love that place.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to see Kid Rock open up for Eric Church, and that was really crazy because like I got a Kid Rock tattoo on my right arm and Eric Church on my left arm, and I never thought I would see those two worlds ever collide. And it was out in South Carolina, North Carolina, whatever. It was a shit show. The whole show was, but it was really cool to see them two together like that. And I was on cloud nine to see my two favorite artists like that. And so when your worlds collide, it's something different. I like that because it's kind of like what Crossroads was doing for the longest time. Yeah. And I admit it, my favorite Crossroads to this day will always be Taylor Swift and Def Leppard. to me was Crossroads. They rocked
Yeah.
that thing. So, but yeah, with Dave Matthews though, this I like Dave because it's almost like a Pearl Jam setting, and almost kind of like where Eric's headed to, where they have so many songs, you just don't know what you're going to get at different shows. Do you
Yes,
feel
they're
like
all.
Dave is completely different, like every show you go to?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I have never seen the same show.
So what do you
Never.
think makes him like kind of change his set list, or how do you think he picks his set list? Like Eric's kind of explained his, like if he sees something in the crowd or something, he can kind of call an audible or whatever. What do you think
Yeah.
how Dave plans out his shows? Like when he sits down
I
to
think
plan them out?
it's a lot of the same. I think it's a lot of feeling out the crowd. I think they probably go in with a rough draft and
Yeah,
kind of take it from there. But I do feel like the majority of it is improvised.
that's so cool. I love like kind of the whole story with Dave. Like you listen to him talk, he barely mumbles so much and everything, but then when he starts singing, it's almost like Ozzy. It's like holy
Yeah,
crap, this guy's amazing.
he is.
So what got you started on OAR too then? Was it through Dave? Did you first come across them with them?
OAR, I feel like was an accident. I feel like I somehow ended up on their mailing list and I was getting really annoyed because I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, Smile, join the revolution. And then I ended up clicking on it and listening to them. And I remember running to my husband and I was just like, oh my gosh, you have to listen to this band.
What was the first
And
song you heard? Do you remember?
it was, I want to say it was their song Anyway, which
Okay.
is still one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, they throw in a Bob Marley tag in the middle of that song. One good thing about music is when it hits you, you feel no pain. So
Yep.
it's probably one of my all-time favorite quotes.
I got a Bob Marley bathroom down here and it's right on the wall. Right, you
Yeah,
walk in there.
yeah.
So
So
oh go ahead.
yeah, that happened, and then they played shortly after that. They played a local venue that we got to go check them out. A really small venue, and then it was just like Dave. Once I saw them, once I was hooked.
Yeah, yeah.
You're in the walking to your car after the show, trying to see where else you can see them next, and we just kind of started going everywhere for them.
That was like after when I saw Church, is like I'm like, all right, where is he playing? Where are we going? And they're like, well,
Yeah,
the
there's a
next shows.
yeah,
Was
we
that
have a handful of diehards that will just travel wherever we can to for.
now? Do you is there like with when we talk about fan clubs? We're going back to do you think the camaraderie is there with those fan clubs too? Like the way people tour and get together. Do they
I
have
think so.
reunions and stuff? They do. Cool.
Yeah,
So even though there
absolutely.
is tension, they still could get together and have a good time, and
Yeah. Yep.
because
We
there's still
all
that common interest.
absolutely. Yep. We do the before and after parties, and you know,
Nice. I bet they're fun because Dave shows they're long. What do you think the longest show you ever seen him play?
it's either got to be a Springsteen show or a Dead show.
Oh man,
Yeah, Springsteen goes hard.
that
Springsteen is like 3+ hours. I mean, I want to say there was one show he played almost 4. It was crazy.
is
And then
insane.
Grateful Dead and then Dead and Company give you a good go also.
So when I was, it's funny that you mentioned Grateful Dead because when I was kind of doing like show prep and everything for this show, I was studying to see okay who has seen like who has Guinness Book of Records for shows, and I came across this guy. I don't know if it was him or not or who has the record, but this dude, he's an ex basketball player. Bill Walton's his name. Has seen 854 Grateful Dead shows. And I'm like, and I guess he's like the number one celebrity deadhead or whatever they call him. I'm like, that is insane. Like, just like sitting down and like thinking, like, that's like 4 shows a month or something for like your lifetime.
Hmm.
And I sat down. I'm like, so how many shows have I averaged a show a month until like I'm 80 of church? Where could I be at? And I think I averaged out like 500. I'm like, man, if I could get to 500, that'd be wild. I don't think it ever happened, but like, and I was just looking at that, and there was somebody else. I forgot the next one I saw. There was I was actually kind of bookmarking them. Let's see. So 400 Springsteen shows was the next one I saw. My God, I've seen 400 Springsteen shows. I'm like, it's insane to see somebody like that. But then people look at us that's seen 160, 200 shows, and they're
Yeah,
like,
they say 60, you're insane, and you're like, I got some stories for you. I usually will just end up talking about other people that are crazier than I am.
You gotta listen about this guy, Aaron. You gotta hear about him now. He's insane. So I want to know. I know one of the pictures I used for the main poster, and I definitely got to throw this up because I know my wife's in love with the guy. But you had a meet and greet with Rob Thomas, but it looked like you did something with the Sidewalk Angels fund that he does. So tell me about
Yeah.
that.
So I used to work in development for an animal sanctuary. Development is
Okay.
the fundraising team, and Rob Thomas and his wife and mother-in-law Maria were all on the board of directors for
Oh,
that animal
nice.
sanctuary. So every year they would have a gala, and Rob and his wife and mother-in-law would be in attendance. So this meet and greet was, I want to say this one was at Mohegan Sun.
Okay.
Did a run of benefit shows
Mm-hmm.
for Sidewalk Angels, which they would give portions to the sanctuary that I worked for.
That is neat. Yeah, I've definitely.
Yeah.
I've been looking into things like that. 'Cause I definitely want to get out. Try to get my wife a meet and greet one of these days because she's in love with this guy. And I'm like,
Oh, he's so
I'm
nice.
great. Well, I've been watching like a lot of his lives that he was doing. I'm like, this guy's just really just seems down to earth, cool, and I've
Yes.
been a Matchbox fan since I was. I mean, I can remember in the '90s. Matchbox was always my go-to. But
Same. Yeah, as soon as when I first started playing guitar, Matchbox 20 was just coming around, and 3 a.m. was one of the first songs I taught myself to play.
I always had a dream. One of these days, I'm still gonna do it. I say I have a dream, but I always want to play piano, and I'm like, if I ever play piano, I want to play the 3 a.m. version of the piano because I
It's
love.
so good.
I heard one time I heard Rob do that 3 a.m. like just him and the piano. I was like, I'm blown away. That's just one of my favorites, and I still
Yeah.
love that version of it. So I
Yeah, that
love
version
3 a.m.
kicks you in the feelings.
But what was that?
That version kicks you right in the feelings.
Yeah, it's cool because like, you talk about kicking you in the feelings and stuff. Like I loved Matchbox Rob Thomas, but it wasn't until the last year or two I've really been having some different things going on in my life, and I've dug into like their lyrics more. And I'm like, oh, okay, he sings a lot about like mental illness and stuff, and I really never put two and two together until I really started experiencing some of it for myself. And I think that's why over the last few years I kind of gained a little bit closer to Matchbox 20 and Rob Thomas in a way, just like with the lyrics. That last song or last time we did the Chip 2 Smile, I think it was. He had one on there, You Can't Help Me Now, I think it is. That
Yes.
song is by far one of
It's
my top
so
five
good.
songs ever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just I love that song, and just it's a lot of those words speak to me, and that's why like people ask me what kind of music I listen to or whatever, and it's really hard to tell them. But I'm like, I listen to stuff that's real, stuff that like I could feel or I could relate to in a way.
Mhm.
And they're like, "Oh, I don't like pop country." And I'm like, "I don't either." I'm like, unless I can really get down or relate to it, then yeah. I mean, if I can relate to hip hop, then I'll listen to hip hop. There's been some stuff. I mean, there's stuff that Eminem had back in the late '90s and stuff that I love that I can relate to. And that's just me, because I mean, probably for you too, just being a music fan, it's kind of what you relate to, and it's you were saying it's therapy.
Absolutely. I always gravitate towards the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's generally what will grab me when there's a story that you can relate to or just good storytelling.
Now you're a fan of the songwriter too. Do you like really dig into look into like see who wrote the song and break that
Mhm.
down too? Like, does Dave write a lot of his own stuff? I know he did with Tim Reynolds, right, for a while.
Yep. Yeah, Dave writes everything.
He did everything. He's kind of like church and everything he releases, he writes. Nice.
Exactly.
I like that because I mean, there's a lot of karaoke singers out there, and I like the guys that actually go out and do it. I know sometimes the guys that go out there and do it, they don't succeed, but at least they try to go out there and do it. And then there's some guys that just want to give every song they have to like Tim McGraw to be a karaoke singer, and it's like, all right, dude, come on,
Yeah.
you're better than this.
Yeah, and it's frustrating because I think McGraw, like I think a lot of his songwriters are phenomenal. So
You're
he's
amazing,
actually
yeah,
one of the few that doesn't write his own that I like. But
yeah, yeah.
honestly, the majority of the singers that don't write their own, I generally don't connect with at all.
And that's why I mean, I'm still to this day, I'm a big Taylor Swift fan because I think she's probably one of the best writers out there, even though she's writing about her exes, but she's writing about real life things, life experiences, and people can relate. If you're a 13-year-old girl or a 40-year-old man or whatever, I mean, there's stuff that people can relate to somewhere in her songs. And
Absolutely, I love her.
Yeah, I mean, I just love her creativity and everything. I mean, there's sometimes where she goes and crosses like political lines, and that irks me. But I really think that people are like, well, I don't think there's room for politics and music, but I think there always has been in a way. I mean, and that's where you remember Rock the Vote back in the '90s. That was like one of the biggest things ever. So
Yeah.
when I see them doing the stuff like that crosses into politics, it's like, hey, let them. That's what we've always done. So
Yeah, I can honestly say no matter what side an artist comes out for or against their views, if they didn't agree with mine, it's never turned me off to their music. I can't say that I've ever stopped listening to someone because of what their political views are.
yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. And it was the same way with, I mean, going into like with Churchman and the Rolling Stone when he kind of pissed off every NRA fan out there and whatnot. And I think, I mean, I just think he said what he said, and I'm not gonna. I mean, if I agreed with him or if I didn't, I'm not gonna let that affect anything. I don't think that should. Like people are like, well, I'll never buy another Church album, or I won't support this guy. It's like, then whatever, man. I mean, then you didn't really feel his music, or wasn't a fan of his music to begin with, and
Exactly.
I could see you. I could see you being angry with it, but you also got to really look into what he said because when you read the article, they only took bits and pieces to make him sound like a complete ass.
That's exactly the problem is everyone's a headline reader and instead of going directly to the source and reading it or watching it directly from the source, they're reading these headlines from biased media sources. So of course they're going to spin it to make him look terrible.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's just it's such a wild and political world right now, so they always do that. I really don't think it hurt him though, because they say no press is bad press. So I really don't think it hurt him. I think it really made people Google who he is, maybe.
Yeah, that boycott didn't work.
So tell me about this photo I just put up. You got a good photo about Bruce Springsteen here.
This I love this picture. This was in Albany, New York. That was our hometown arena. We were side stage, like towards like the front of the row, and that is Springsteen at 60 something years old, crowd surfing in the pit.
Really hope Church never sees this because that'll give him a whole new idea.
What's funny is every time, like Springsteen is another one. Like I started, my siblings started taking me to at a young age, and as I got older, I would always go to a Springsteen show, and afterwards I would be like, any performing musician needs to go to a Springsteen show and take notes. And I feel like Church is one of the few that has.
So I've yet to see Springsteen. I'll be the first to admit it. I want to see him so bad, but I don't know why. I just never. My cousin out in West Virginia is a huge diehard Springsteen fan, and I know he's seen him a bunch of times. I'm one of these days I'm just gonna go with him and go see him because if I see him ever, I kind of want to see him with him. And I told him, I said, dude, I'm gonna go see Springsteen with you, but you gotta come see Church with me sometime.
Fair deal.
I really feel like Church learned from Springsteen in a way. I think that's kind of where he saw a Springsteen show and said, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. Yep. The no openers. I mean, Dave Matthews did that also with the no openers. I know a bunch of bands did. And then, so Springsteen would actually just play nonstop.
Yeah.
Like 3+ hours nonstop. No set break, no encore, nothing.
Wouldn't he give his band a break and then he would just stay out there with his acoustic, right? Or was his band stay out there the whole time too?
Yeah, they stayed out there the whole time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. See, there was a couple of times in the Double Down where I saw Eric would give his band a break, but he would just stay out there and play acoustic for a half an hour or so. I didn't know if that's something that Bruce Wood did too, or
not at any of the shows that I had been to.
So do you see, like, when you go see Church shows, there's like people do different things like during record year they have the albums. Does like the Dave Matthews fans and everything, they have stuff like that for their shows?
Not really. I don't think there's any. I mean,
like quirky or whatever.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's any traditions like that.
They don't hold satellites up for Dave, no.
No.
Does he play that song still?
Yes.
I love that. That was like, I mean, I haven't really listened to like newer Dave lately, but like when I first, like the first few albums I did listen to, I loved Satellite. That was just one of my, I would always.
If it was a popular song on the radio, I probably don't like it.
Yeah. That's how it normally is when you're fans and stuff. Like when people ask me about Church, like, oh, what's your favorites? I'm like, oh, all the ones that were on the radio.
Exactly.
Lightning almost was, but it got banned, so that was good. So someone, Wendy's saying Springsteen's book is amazing. I've not read it yet or seen it, but I'll have to check that out. Didn't he do some stuff on Broadway too?
He did. We actually were lucky to go to those shows. It was
Oh,
just
wow.
Springsteen and a guitar, and he would bring his wife out for a little bit. And it was more of a storyteller. It was phenomenal.
Really?
Uh, he has a Netflix special on it. You could watch it. I highly
Okay.
recommend.
I'll write that down. I have to check that out. I'm in my next garage flick while I'm out there just hanging out, watching some TV. So I'll put that on, check that out for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to a Springsteen show next time he comes out. This
I
picture
highly
here,
recommend.
just hearing you talk about it, I'm like, I gotta check this out. Where was this venue at? This picture here, I sold this all over Facebook.
That was at Taste of Country, Hunter Mountain, when Eric Church and Ashley McBride played.
Okay, was that
So
just a couple years ago, or
yeah, I think that's the one I was saying was 2018.
okay? So that was the
Yeah.
one that was the one he did like right after a fan club party or something in June, right? Or-
Yes. Yeah, that was the weekend of CMA Fest.
That's what that was. I remember.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I remember there was something with that one. I just didn't. I remember when I saw that picture. I was like, oh, that's a badass picture.
Yeah.
It
So
reminded me of.
we-
Okay.
yeah. When Hunter Mountain is where they used to hold another festival called Mountain Jam. So we would always go to the top of the mountain. We would never try to get in the crowds. We would always just go as far up as we could and watch the shows from the top.
I bet it sounded amazing up there.
Amazing. Yeah.
I was like when we did the Gorge last year, and I was so glad Eric did 2 nights there because I was like, I gotta do the pit. I mean, just because it was the night of my birthday, and then I'm like, I gotta do the lawn because I want to see the whole show and just be in the back and see it all. And that was an experience. It was really cool. So if I go back to the Gorge and it's a one night show, I'll probably cry because I definitely love both of the experience, even though I don't miss the run at all.
Yeah, we did that for Dave Matthews that year that OAR opened. We did pit.
Okay.
We were up close the first 2 nights, and then the third night we were on the lawn.
What's your worst pit horror story?
Gosh. I honestly, as sad as this makes me to say, it was an OAR show.
Oh, really? I thought you were going to drop a church one.
Yeah, nope. Didn't have any bad pit experiences.
What happened with OAR?
It was just a terrible, terrible crowd. This was a show where I had a young kid. I swear he was about 11. Peed on me.
Oh my God.
Another person on the other side. It was just like a really drunk young crowd.
Yeah.
It was rowdy. I remember the band even had to stop and then, calm it down a little bit. And it was rough. That was in Massachusetts.
Man.
Mhm.
I would have been pissed if I got peed on. Like, literally. I would have been like, no way.
Funny because as cool as the OAR guys themselves are,
Mhm.
they're a lot of my worst show experiences, period, were all at their shows.
Oh, really? See, I've seen them. I've seen them a couple of times. I don't want to say on accident. A couple of them have been as like Milwaukee Summerfest they were playing, so I stopped in here like.
That's a big one for them.
Yeah, I'd hear like 20, 30 minutes of their set or something. I'd go on and check out somewhere else or someone else. But my first OAR experience was before. I think it was like one of their first shows they ever played. I want to say I don't know if it is or what the story was, but there was a local Chicago band called Hello Dave, and they play the House of Blues every year. And one year, I don't even know how long ago, they brought OAR. No one knew who the hell they were. And they closed with Poker. And by the time they closed with that, everybody's like, holy shit, who is these guys? And I think it was like, I want to say it was probably the first time they ever played in Chicago or something. And it was like, because they were opening for a local band. So it's like this local, they weren't even like a regional band. It was just a really local band. And so it was really odd to see them. I still have that ticket stub too. But I started listening to them after that for probably a little bit, maybe a year or two, but I never really caught on after their second album. I don't know why I never really paid more attention to it. But I remember seeing them at that show, and I'm like, oh, they're really good. They jammed out, and then just never really saw them after that, other than a little peek here and there at Summerfest. But have you been to Summerfest before?
I haven't. I know that's a big show for them, and they actually do really well in Chicago also now.
Yeah, oh yeah. I know every time they come to Chicago, they play huge shows. But if you've never been to Milwaukee Summerfest, don't go. It's like, especially if ADD at all. I mean, with music, because you'll see the lineup, and there'll be like 4 groups that you really want to see all playing at the same time. So you're trying to bounce around from stage to stage, and it's fun. But that's why I only see like 20, 30 minutes of OAR because I want to go see this band or that band, and
that's how I am at at festivals. You have the schedule, and
yeah.
you plan like what stage you're going to go to and how much of one act you're going to miss to get to another.
Yeah, I know CMA Fest had that app for a little bit too, where like the actual app and everything was you could like plan out your day or whatever.
Right.
So, all right, we're gonna move on. I mean, I know we're way over time, so I'm just kind of improvising tonight on all this. I do apologize with all of our errors we had earlier. Everybody that's listening and everything else, we got it all fixed up, so that was kind of good that we survived that. Alrighty, we'll probably still try to do a quick after show. We'll see. We'll see what we can do. I don't know how long it'll be, but we'll do something. But every week I do a game that we're gonna play tonight. It's called. Oh, that was a little loud. It's called Hot Seat. So I'm gonna ask you 9 questions and see how long you get or how fast you get through them. You're gonna have a little bit of music playing in the background. So we talked about Crossroads earlier. What's your dream Crossroads episode?
Well, even though it probably wouldn't sound that good, I would love to just see back to talking, bringing like our worlds together, like Bon Jovi and Eric Church. Even though Bon Jovi did one already,
Yeah,
or
that'd
Eric,
be really.
any metal band with Metallica or hard rock or metal band.
I can see him doing like with oh man, can you imagine? I'm not even gonna play this music. I knew we were gonna sidetrack. Could you imagine if they did like a Pantera like tribute and just like Eric and Driver? Eric and Driver sat
on.
on.
Partner, because I need to see.
I just whenever like when you started seeing them 09, so I'm back in then I'm sure you saw it too. They used to open up with Before She Does, but they'd open up with like a Pantera walk intro.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wish that Eric would just go start singing the lyrics to Walk. I'm like, just do it, dude. Give us a read. Go into it. But never happened. So all right, we'll go back to the music now. Your favorite getaway location? If you're escaping away from not going to any concerts, you want to relax. Where are you going?
Arizona.
Nice. All right. Your first cassette tape you ever owned?
Van Halen 5150.
Nice. So if Dave and Eric wrote together, what topic would you want them to write about? I actually had a line there, Ken. I'd probably get to that one and we both just stop and start talking about.
Oh, man. That's tough. I would like to see them do a family, maybe like a family friendly. I have no idea.
Oh, that'd be kind of fun.
They talk about his kids a lot. Church talks about his kids.
Yeah. All right, that'd be kind of cool. I'd like that. All right, if you're on an island, you're going to take one EC album, one Dave album, and one Rob Thomas or Matchbox album. What 3 are you taking?
I missed the first one.
So you're on an island, you go and take 3 albums with you. One of them has to be Eric, one has to be Dave, one has to be Rob Thomas or Matchbox 20.
Okay. So Carolina, Before These Crowded Streets, and Yourself or Someone Like You.
Nice. All right. You got to go with that. The original, nothing's ever good. I mean, their stuff's so good, but that album, front to back, I mean, that was, when we saw them, like, what was it, 2 years ago? I think my wife and I went and saw them. They did Hang, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I've always wanted to hear Hang on, and I got to hear it. I was like, yes, like that's my song. All right, your dream location for a concert. So we talked about the Gorge. We talked about the place up in upstate New York. I mean, where would your dream location be?
I've been pretty lucky to go everywhere. The one venue that I haven't been to are the Caverns in Tennessee. I think they're outside of Nashville somewhere. That's on my list.
Yeah, I just saw people posting about that. That's like a newer thing that started last year or two, right?
Yeah, they do like a bluegrass underground. Bluegrass is my actual, if I had to pick one favorite genre of everything, I would pick bluegrass. So I'd want to see a bluegrass show there. That'd
be cool. That'd be awesome. So your favorite Halloween costume you ever wore?
1 year, my husband and I dressed up as the robot and what's the dog's name from Spaceballs?
Oh, Oh God, why can't I think of it? Yeah,
Ours,
what?
and I was the
Yeah,
gold. I
Mark.
was Joan Rivers.
Nice. Oh God, Spaceballs was awesome. An item on your bucket list, something you still want to achieve.
I don't know if it's considered bucket list, but I need to own a koala.
Ooh, that
That's
would be
my
pretty
dream.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, and then the last one: if Eric Church ever covered a Matchbox 20 song, what song would you want him to cover?
Oh man, that's a tough one.
Yep.
There's the song "Look How Far We've Come." That one.
Mine was Bright Lights.
That's another one of my favorites. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good choice for. Yeah, I could see
Like
that.
when I was writing these questions out for you, I'm like, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, how would I answer these? And I was thinking, I'm like, Bright Lights would be badass.
Yeah, that's
I
good
really
call.
like, yeah, I'm like, I would love to hear Eric just go into that. So if he
Mhm.
ever does, then we know he watched this show.
Right?
He's probably watching to get ideas for the next tour. All right, what songs am I going to do next? All right, Mary, I am so sorry once again for all the trouble we had before.
I'm sorry too.
But it turned into a really great episode. I mean, we still had a good solid 50 minutes, so it worked out great. So we're gonna take a quick 10-minute break. I'll let you go, and then we're gonna get together and we'll talk again with our other two guests over on the after show for a few minutes. So, but
Sounds good.
thanks for hanging out, and I'll send you another link here in a few minutes.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Take care.
You too.
Guys, that was an awesome show. I love that so much. I am once again so sorry about all the technical difficulties we had. So I'll do some editing for when we go streaming and everything else. But if you are watching this back on Facebook later on down the road, just know the whole intro is on the post right before it. But I do apologize once again for all that. And we never even talked about all of her jewelry that she makes. I had that list. The link for her jewelry will be in the comment, or not in the comments, but in the show notes for the show. She makes amazing pieces. I might even have to talk about it on the after show just for a minute because I do apologize that we never got to talk about it because look at this stuff that she makes. It's some good stuff. So once again, Mary, amazing guest tonight. I had fun. That was a good one. But thank you guys for sticking around through all the mishaps tonight and figuring out our audio issue at the beginning and all the echo. But I'm glad we did get that worked out. So we're gonna be coming back in about 10 or 15 minutes on the after show. It's gonna be a little shortened after show tonight. So we normally do about half an hour. We only do about 20 minutes tonight and run through it. But yeah, if you guys are on our Patreon, hop on over there. If you're not, check it out. The link is in the comments. If you scroll up, I can put the link in again. But definitely scroll up, check it out, and come and join us. And if you can't support the show, we do thank everybody that supports it. It starts at $1, goes all the way up to sponsorships that go into the $30 range. Yeah, Joel, we will definitely have to have Mary back. We'll have to have a full show. So that should be good. That should be we'll do that for sure and make up for what we lost. But if you guys can go ahead and check out our Patreon, that is our heartline or bloodline of the show, and we do appreciate everybody that is part of it. We're gonna come back next week. I am still working on the show. Episode 41 is coming on June 30th, which is the day after my birthday. It's gonna be awesome. Which I don't even know what I'm gonna do yet for Monday. I got the day off, and it's gonna be crazy. There is a chance that in near future, next maybe month or so, we may be changing nights for the show. I don't know yet until we do get a solid plan going. I am getting more of a steady work schedule now, so with that happening, I might move the show to a different night. Joel wants. Yeah, Joel, I'll go ahead and put all the links back up. I'll go ahead and put up both of Mary's jewelry link up for you and our Patreon link. So I do apologize once again that we did not get to her all of her amazing jewelry that she's made for the choir fan club parties and everything else. So yeah, I will get those links back up for you in the chat for tonight. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us on the show. I keep apologizing for beginning. I'm sorry, but we did turn out to have an amazing show with Mary. Had some awesome stories. That's all I wanted to have tonight. Is some really cool concert stories because I miss concerts. So they're coming soon, I promise, I hope. But we'll see. But thank you guys for joining us, and I'll see you next week. Keep watching soon for the who's going to be that guest. Might be a good one.